In the rush of daily life, most people live in constant noise, both external and internal. They move so fast, think so loud, and consume so much that they never pause long enough to hear the still, small voice that's always speaking. But if you want to hear God clearly, you must first embrace stillness. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of clarity. Solitude is not loneliness. It is sacred connection. Napoleon Hill understood that all accurate thinking begins in quiet reflection. You cannot sort out your thoughts, receive insight, or be guided by infinite intelligence if your mind is in chaos. Stillness is a gateway to spiritual awareness. It is a meeting place between your soul and divine intelligence. The great thinkers, prophets, inventors, and leaders of history all had one thing in common. They valued silence. Whether it was in the early hours of morning or during quiet walks alone, they found space to listen. That space is where intuition is born. If you want to hear God, create daily pockets of silence. Rise early before the world begins to speak. Sit with a pen and journal and ask a question, then wait for the answer. Don't try to force it. Let it rise from within. That gentle nudge, that peaceful thought, that sudden clarity. That's how God often speaks. The voice of God doesn't shout over noise. It waits patiently for you to get quiet enough to listen. One of the most overlooked ways God speaks is through your desire, your inner fire, the thing that won't leave you alone, that pull you feel toward a certain path. The dream that won't die no matter how much time passes is often not just yours. It's divine. God often speaks through purpose. Napoleon Hill called it a definite major purpose, the one thing you were put here to do. It is not random. It is not a coincidence. That yearning you feel, that persistent vision that plays in your mind, is a signal from something higher. When you tune into it, you begin to hear God more clearly because you're moving in alignment with why you were created. Many people search outside themselves for signs or direction, hoping the answer will fall from the sky, when in truth, it's already inside them. The voice of God isn't always thunderous. It often whispers through your talents, your interests, your heartbreaks, and your relentless curiosity. What are you drawn to, even when you try to ignore it? What lights you up? That's not an accident. That's communication. When you ignore that voice, life becomes foggy. But when you commit to a clear vision, the fog begins to lift. Clarity follows commitment. Passion is fuel, and vision is the map. When you step into purpose with faith, the next step always becomes clearer. You don't have to see the entire path. You just have to recognize that the fire in your soul is sacred. It's not just ambition, it's guidance. When you take it seriously, you'll notice the difference. Life begins to organize around your decision. God meets you in motion. Purpose is not just what you do. It's how God confirms you're hearing Him right. Faith is the gateway. Without it, even when God is speaking, you won't hear Him. Not because He's silent, but because you're tuned to the wrong frequency. Faith clears the static. It opens the mind and heart to receive what's already being offered. It's not about blind belief in something distant. It's about trusting that a higher intelligence is guiding you, that you are connected to it, and that it wants to speak with you. The clearer your faith, the clearer the signal. When you truly believe that God is guiding you, you begin to notice answers where others see nothing. You pick up on the signs, the nudges, the timing. Napoleon Hill taught that faith can be created through repetition, auto-suggestion, affirmations, and imagination. You don't have to wait for faith to magically show up. You can build it. Speak it daily. I am guided by divine intelligence. I trust the voice within me. Imagine yourself receiving answers. Picture your life as if God's direction was already shaping your every move. The mind doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined truth and reality. Use that to your advantage. The more you practice faith, the more your inner world shifts. You become calmer, more focused, more sensitive to inspiration. That sensitivity is what opens a channel. God's voice doesn't scream. It requires stillness, but it also requires belief. If you don't expect to hear from Him, you won't. But when you expect, listen, and trust, that's when clarity breaks through. Fear, doubt, and the constant noise of everyday life block our ability to hear God clearly. The mind is overwhelmed with worries, judgments, and distractions, making it nearly impossible to receive divine guidance. This mental clutter creates a barrier, drowning out the stillness where true spiritual messages reside. To hear God clearly, we must learn to silence that noise and replace it with the right thoughts, affirmations, and focus. Napoleon Hill spoke about the positive mental diet as a powerful tool. Just like a physical diet, the mind needs nourishment that supports its growth and clarity. If you feed your mind with negativity, fear, or doubt, you will live in confusion, unable to hear the whispers of God. But if you fill your mind with uplifting thoughts, positive affirmations, and gratitude, you create the space necessary for divine communication. It's about being intentional with your thoughts and the content you consume, whether it's books, media, or conversations. Choose wisely. Make sure your mental diet consists of thoughts that elevate you, that affirm your connection to the divine. Purifying the mind requires discipline. Start by eliminating negative self-talk and replacing it with statements of truth and possibility. Practice daily meditation or prayer and focus on breathing deeply and calming the mind. Journaling also helps. Writing your thoughts and reflections can clear the mental fog. Over time, with consistent practice, the mental clutter will fade and divine direction will come through loud and clear. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to tune into God's voice. Napoleon Hill spoke extensively about the sixth sense, describing it as a powerful channel to infinite intelligence, a divine source of wisdom and guidance that is available to anyone who is attuned to it. The sixth sense is that inner knowing, that gut feeling, or that moment of sudden clarity that seems to come from nowhere. It's not always logical, but it's always right. When you connect to this intuitive sense, you're tapping into a deeper intelligence, one that is beyond your conscious reasoning and limited understanding. It's how God speaks to you in subtle ways, through flashes of insight, inspiration, or the quiet sense that something is right or wrong. Many successful individuals attribute their breakthroughs to moments of intuition. One famous example is Thomas Edison, who, though often seen as a man of reason and invention, had profound moments of intuitive insight that guided him in his work. He often claimed that his best ideas came not from meticulous calculation, but from flashes of inspiration that arrived during moments of stillness. Similarly, Albert Einstein, in his own way, credited his discoveries to daydreams and deep states of mental relaxation where his mind was open to receive unconventional insights. These intuitive breakthroughs weren't random. They were responses to the presence of infinite intelligence, speaking to them through their sixth sense. Developing and trusting your intuition requires practice and faith. It starts by quieting the mind, staying present, and learning to differentiate between the voice of fear and the voice of your true inner guidance. Trusting your intuition means acting on those subtle nudges, even if they don't make sense at first. The more you listen and act, the more clearly you will hear. When you begin to trust your intuitive hits, you'll find that they consistently guide you toward success and clarity in ways you never expected. A mastermind is often thought of as a group of like-minded individuals coming together to share knowledge and support one another. But what if you could form the ultimate mastermind group? Just you and God. Every day, you have the opportunity to connect directly with divine intelligence. This isn't a distant, abstract connection. It's personal and real. When you set aside time each day to engage in the sacred dialogue, you invite clarity, direction, and inspiration into your life. The key is to treat it as a partnership, one where you ask for guidance, and then patiently wait for the response. Start by setting aside a few moments each day for spiritual connection. It could be through prayer, where you open your heart and mind to receive direction. Ask questions. What do I need to know? What should I do next? Then, give space for the answers. Sometimes the answers come quickly. Other times they come more gradually. Writing down your thoughts, ideas, and feelings in a journal can be a powerful way to make sense of the guidance you receive. By writing and reflecting, you deepen your connection with the divine and begin to recognize how clearly God speaks when you are attuned to the right frequency. This daily practice turns your life into a true mastermind with the divine, creating a constant flow of inspiration and clarity. Inspiration is powerful, but without action, it can quickly become nothing more than idle thoughts or fleeting ideas. Too many people wait for a full, crystal-clear vision before they take a single step, but often, clarity only comes through action. It's like waiting for the fog to lift before driving. Sometimes you have to drive a little to see the road clearly. God often guides us in small steps, nudging us forward, and we are meant to take action to confirm that we're on the right path. Inspiration without action remains trapped in the realm of imagination. It's only when you act that you create movement and invite divine guidance to flow more freely. Taking that first step, even if it feels uncertain, is often what unlocks the next piece of clarity. God rarely gives the entire picture at once. Instead, He leads us step by step. That means you don't have to know exactly how everything will unfold. You just need to trust that the next step will be revealed as you move forward. And once you take that step, pause again to listen, reflect, and receive the next piece of guidance. This continuous cycle of action and reflection is how divine direction becomes clear. God is always speaking, but He often waits for you to move first. When you do, the path unfolds before you and clarity follows action. God often speaks to us in ways we don't immediately recognize, through dreams, people, books, or even moments of perfect synchronicity. These signs and symbols are not random. They are divine nudges, small messages meant to guide us. But too many people miss these signals because they are looking for something more direct or obvious. Dreams can carry messages that are meant to steer us in a certain direction, or reveal truths that our waking minds are too busy to process. A conversation with a stranger might hold the exact advice you've been searching for, or a random book you pick up might speak to a problem you've been wrestling with. Synchronicities, those moments where events line up in seemingly miraculous ways, are often the universe's way of confirming that you're on the right path. The key is to remain open and sensitive to these symbols. Don't dismiss a seemingly insignificant event or encounter. It could be the answer you've been seeking. Be alert, pay attention, and trust that nothing in your life is happening by chance. The more you recognize these signs, the more frequently they'll appear. God is always speaking, but you must cultivate the awareness to listen. When you do, the messages become clearer, and you begin to see the divine threads weaving through your everyday life. Your character is a foundation that determines how clearly you hear God. Purity, love, and truth are essential qualities that create the right environment for divine guidance to flow freely. When your mind and heart are aligned with these virtues, the spiritual signals you receive become sharper, more distinct, and more accurate. God does not speak clearly to a heart divided by doubt, fear, or dishonesty. If your conscience is clouded by guilt, shame, or hidden intentions, it becomes difficult to distinguish the voice of God from the noise of your own desires or fears. Purity of heart means being honest with yourself, striving to live with integrity, and acting with kindness and compassion. Love is a force that connects us to the divine. It opens us to receive wisdom and guidance. Truth is the light that exposes darkness, helping us see things clearly and make decisions based on reality, not illusion. When you cultivate these qualities, your spiritual channel becomes more attuned, and God's voice becomes clearer. When your actions are aligned with your highest values, and your heart is free from internal conflict, God can speak to you more directly. You will feel more at peace, knowing that your choices are in harmony with your true purpose. The clearer your character, the clearer your connection to the divine. Expectation is one of the most powerful forces in receiving divine guidance. It is a belief that something good is coming, that answers are on the way, and that the universe is aligning to support you. When you expect to hear from God, your mind and spirit become open, receptive, and tuned to the guidance you seek. It's like a radio station. You can't tune in unless you're on the right frequency. Expectation is that frequency. It is belief in action, where your thoughts, emotion, and actions are aligned with the certainty that your prayers are being answered, even before you see the evidence. If you don't expect anything, you won't recognize the answers when they come. But when you are filled with expectancy, everything shifts. You start noticing the signs, the synchronicities, and the subtle nudges that were always there. Expectation is the key that unlocks the door to divine clarity. Hearing God is not a privilege reserved for a select few. It's your birthright. God is always speaking, always guiding, and always present. But we often miss His voice because we are not listening with intention. We get caught in the noise of the world, the distractions of our thoughts, and the busyness of our lives. The truth is, God is never silent. It's just that we may not be in the right space to hear. If you want clarity, If you want divine direction, you must create room for it. Go into the silence and ask. The answers you seek are already within you, waiting to be revealed. When you open your heart and mind, when you trust, expect, and act, the communication with God becomes clearer and more powerful. It's time to listen with intention and embrace the divine guidance that's always available to you. If you found value in these insights inspired by Napoleon Hill, make sure to subscribe for more powerful lessons on mindset, wealth, and personal growth. We share timeless wisdom, practical strategies, and motivational content to help you unlock your full potential. Stay inspired, stay focused, master your mind,